This is the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Ever wish you could re-listen to your favorite interview or segment? Do you enjoy hearing older shows for the first time in years? Then the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less is just what you need. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to this edition of the best moments of the BBQ Central Show in 10 minutes or less. Today's show comes from September 15th back in 2010. And with the recent resurgence of barbecue TV, I thought it prudent to take a look back to some of the guests from the BBQ Pitmasters series. Specifically, Lee Ann Whippen is in talking a bit about the show. Second segment today is barbecue legend Thom Emery talking a little bit about the show and turducken. Can't make that up. Here we go. Let's get started with Greg and Lee Ann Whippen from September 15th, 2010.
Joining me now is one of the most well-known female pitmasters out there. She's a successful restaurant owner, actually expanding into a new state and city, which we'll get into here in just a bit. She's also been on a number of TV shows and still gets out on the competition trail every once in a while to make sure she's showing everybody who's boss. It's pitmaster of Woodchick's Barbecue as we race to the hotline. More importantly than all that, friend of the show, Lee Ann Whippen, joining us. Lee Ann, how are you tonight?
I'm great. How are you? It's a pleasure to be back.
Oh, well, certainly appreciate you taking time out to come back on the show, Lee Ann. Everything is great here in Cleveland. Are you Virginia-bound right now, or are you in Illinois?
Actually, I am in Chicago right now. We just opened Chicago Q last Saturday, and so I've got to be here 24/7. This is my fourth restaurant opening, so it demands time and attention.
Yeah, and certainly you have a lot of experience, and we'll get to the restaurant here in just a few minutes. But if you don't mind, obviously BBQ Pitmasters 2, the next episode, number 5 of 6, will be airing tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on TLC. And you've been on a number of TV shows. I know you've done, is it 3, or have you done all 4 of John Marcus's shows?
Actually, I did the Kingsford series out in Reno, and then the 2 TLC shows, and also the Throwdown on the Food Network. And I also did another show for Food Network that followed us out at the Royal. That was actually prior to the Throwdown, so it's a handful.
Yeah, so you're definitely used to being in front of the camera. Now, out of John's shows, you have season 2 of BBQ Pitmasters, which I said you'll be on the episode tomorrow. How did you like this go-around? Of course, not giving any secrets away of how the show actually went down, winners and losers, but just as an overall evaluation of this time around, how do you think it went?
Well, I believe that it was a totally, it's obviously a totally different format, but it might be more watched than the original format as far as the American public versus, just competitors. I thought the first series appealed to competitors where they might learn something from the show, in competition and really kind of see behind the scenes, whereas this one is more of, I guess you want to say, a game show Top Chef type format, which might be more watched by someone who's not really in competitive barbecue. So I can understand where TLC was coming from in changing the format to increase viewership.
Are you personally a little disappointed that John got away and TLC got away from season 1 of Pitmasters format?
Yes, I guess just because we became somewhat of a family, and I really felt that the show was going places in the original format, and that it needed a second season to really increase the viewership and be recognized. To immediately change after the first year was a little bit difficult, but I can understand the way TV works and what they're trying to do.
Lee Ann Whippen joining us here on the show. Lee Ann, it seemed like a lot of the initial outrage from folks at first, that being from season 1 to 2, it seemed, and it's kind of mellowed out a little bit, I guess, over the last couple weeks. But do you think the show in some way kind of, I hate to use the word tricked, but maybe misled the viewers in how it was going to be this season versus last year?
Yes, and it actually was difficult as us as competitors because a pitmaster show, in my opinion, should be about knowing how to cook your meat over a pit. And to have these miscellaneous categories be your demise, say first round before even getting to the main meat category, I didn't agree with that. And also, if you did well in the meat category, you could be pushed out of it by a vegetable, say. And, if they're going to call it Pitmasters, I really believe it should be more about, about the meat and how it's, obviously smoked and what have you. So I'm not sure that I care for that angle that people would be ruled out before they got to the main dish.
So if you were brought into a focus group meeting as someone watching the show, someone who's actually competed in it in a number of different ways, what would be your suggestions? What's good? What would you like to keep? And then what would you like to get rid of and revamp?
I don't really mind the fact that it's a game show format as long as, we're cooking items that lend itself to, quote, Pitmasters, not to Top Chef. Where Pitmasters might not be culinary trained, and it seemed as if they were favoring the culinary trained in the show. So I don't think that should be the focus. And that I would like to see change.
Some of the people that I've interviewed here over the last couple of weeks made a very upfront point about the fact that they didn't like that the food was being judged right in front of them. They would have liked to have seen it maybe like at the end of season 1 of BBQ Pitmasters, where maybe the judges were taped or they had a camera on them, but they didn't have the competitors right in front of them, so it was actually done blind. Would you like to see that?
Well, I've always been, in favor of KCBS and blind judging because I, believe in being judged for the product, not the dog and pony show. That's nothing against, Memphis judging because that's fun too for what it is. But you have to also look at the fact that people are watching from their homes, and they're going to be more. They're going to want to watch it more if they're watching your reaction to what the judges are doing right then and there. So it creates a little bit more edge and excitement. So from a TV standpoint, I don't think they're wrong with going with that. But from a personal standpoint, I prefer, the blind judging and not being judged in front of the judge, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, Lee Ann Whippen of Wood Chicks Barbecue, Chicago Q Restaurant as well, joining us here on the show. Lee Ann, some of the buzz or the pre-airing of the first show this season was about the host, Kevin Roberts. He got a lot of heat prior to that first run because of his Memorial Day Today Show appearance. You've been around a lot of TV personalities. Kevin, a good choice for the show, in your opinion?
I actually think that once I was there in front of him, that he was very dynamic and he seemed sincere and honest about the show. I think it would have been nicer to maybe have somebody who was more educated in barbecue, because when I saw the clip of the original thing that he did, to be squeezing yellow mustard in your mouth, and talk about cooking ribs in a short amount of time is not really, barbecue or smoking in my eyes. So it kind of started off the whole series, I think, on the wrong foot, whereas the people that are in the know probably would have preferred someone more educated and more experienced in barbecue.
Who would you put as host on the show? I'll put you on the spot. Who would you like to see doing it?
I love Ray Lampy. He would have been kind of fun. Gosh, I don't know. I'd have to think about it a little bit, but that was the first person that kind of popped up. He's well-versed, and I think he's a good, show as far as a TV person. I don't know, maybe even Chris Lilly. He might have been okay, too. I'd really have to think further about it.
All right, so in the end of this portion of the interview, do you think Pitmasters will be back for a third run?
I honestly haven't heard what the exact ratings are, and that's going to determine whether it comes back or not. They have not been doing half the amount of advertising that they have before, and I'm not feeling the buzz from the public as much as I did last year. So I would have to say, I would guess no, it would not be back.
All right, so that's a no for Lee Ann Whippen. I'll make that down in the predictions category.
Believe me, I would love to see it come back.
Oh, of course.
In any format, because anything for, that helps barbecue, and increase prize money, I'm all for it. But an educated guess is no.
Lee Ann, always appreciate the time that you make for the show. Continued success with the restaurants, and thanks for coming on today.
Thank you.
All right, Lee Ann, take care.
Thank you for the invite.
You got it.
Take care.
Lee Ann Whippen. Look, I'm not saying that she doesn't appreciate being on the show, but when I ask you who do you think should be host, it's me. You say me. I'm the freaking host. Lee Ann, is this thing on? Who should be the host for the show? Me. All right, I'll let it slide this time. Otherwise, We're going to have words in the alley next time.
There's a little Lee Ann Whippen with Greg Rempe from September the 15th, 2010. Before we jump into the second segment today with Thom Emery, barbecue legend, did I mention that? I got to ask you. I ask you every week. I'm going to keep on asking you. Are you following the Big Barbecue Central Show on social media? Much appreciated. Easy to do. It is /BBQ Central Show on Facebook, at BBQ Central Show on Instagram and Twitter. Please give the big show a follow. It really helps the cause. Without further ado, let's jump into it. Here is Thom Emery and Greg Rempe from September the 15th, 2010.
Thom Emery joining us here on the show. All right, Thom, so let's go ahead and transition over to the TV side of things. You were able to take part in Season 2 of BBQ Pitmasters. Your episode will be airing this coming Thursday, which is tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on TLC. So you were a fan of probably the first season, or maybe you weren't a fan, but at least you saw it, and it has rapidly changed in format. A lot of people were very vocal initially about not liking the way it changed, and they wish that the name of the show would have changed if they were going to do that to the format as how they did. How did you like the first season? How do you like the second season? And is there anything in between that they share a like or dislike?
Really enjoyed the first season, of course. This has been fun to participate. Was a lot of fun. If you notice the edits of the shows from the first episode to the ones that are last couple that have aired, and then this one coming Thursday, the edit process has changed, and they're putting more emphasis on the cooking and the process of cooking, and less on the good smoking luck and all that kind of silly stuff that goes with it. Which I understand it's a TV show, and we all knew what we were getting into, but it's just, that's not the cooks don't really care for that part of it. And if we can spend more time, I mean, that rib episode, that was great. That was good stuff. I mean, we had that was like being at a contest. The guy, everybody's teasing back and forth, having fun. That's what it's about. That's why I cook. I mean, I'm not chasing $35,000 prizes because it ain't going to happen.
Thom, worst catchphrase ever. Good smoking luck or Seacrest out?
I don't know, man. Grilling like a villain might be in that category too, but good smoking luck. I mean, brother, come on. I mean,
the worst ever.
I almost put that on my my tagline on my signature in the barbecue forum. It's a good smoking luck. It's so bad.
All right, so
God bless him. God bless him.
Yeah, certainly. Why not? I've had a number of the competitors that have taken place on the show this year kind of give their take about what happened, what the experience was like. Obviously, we're watching what you cannot say because nobody wants to get anybody in terms legal trouble, of course.
Yeah.
So who did you team up with, and how did your relationship come to be? Because it's kind of like East Coast meets West Coast to cook on the West Coast.
The guys from Three Eyes were looking for somebody with a backwoods smoker, and because I know a lot of people through the internet, I got an email from Dan Hickson, who's Big Dan Hickson, just a wonderful guy. Said, "Hey, do you know anybody who's got a backwoods smoker? I'm going to be on TV and I want to do this thing." And I emailed back, "Sure, I can find somebody." And then we talked, we bounced it back and forth for a while, and I said, "Dude, I'll go buy one." So I knew where there was a used one, and we put the thing together. So cooked with Dan and the other Dan McGrath and Chris Big Ugly Hall. They're all head cooks. They're all very successful in their own rights, but they gather together to become Three Eyes. And I was the fourth eye, the eye on the fire, I guess, because these guys are chefs, man. And I'm a meat burner, man, just a guy who can maybe gets lucky and the ribs come out once in a while, But these guys are real chefs. So it was just a lot of fun to be with them.
So did they drive out from?
No, they flew. That was the reason they wanted to. Wanted somebody out on the West Coast. I'm out in the desert. It's just it's like 100, maybe 130 miles into where we did the taping, and it was no big deal. It blew 3 RV tires getting there, but we got there.
And do they come armed with rubs and a whole bunch of stuff, or were they more empty-handed than full bagged?
We shipped a lot of things there. I had my RV trailer full of things just in case, because we didn't know what we were going to cook. And it turned out that the pantry was very well stocked. I mean, that was just really well done. They first class operation. We did use a few things. The tsunami rub, from Chris there at Dizzy Pigs. We used that, and of course we used Three Eyes rub because that's their signature deal, and
sure.
We used that on a lot of things. But the tsunami was used also.
Were the teams made aware that there was going to be this full pantry of ingredients that they were going to be able to use? They knew all about that going into it.
Yes, we're the head cooks were able to request items, and they obliged, and it was very well done. I mean, it was put together by somebody who knew how to cook, obviously, because the items you think, oh, we need this, and then there it was. So somebody who knew how to cook really well did the deal. I
had BBQ on last week, who was on the most recently aired episode. Obviously, there was no Pitmasters on last Thursday because nobody wanted to go against opening night in the National Football League, which is certainly
that's a wise decision.
Very wise,
right.
No doubt about it. But she was on the week prior to that, and she made it very clear that going into this competition, everything was made completely aware. There was no wool over the eyes. Would you say that was an accurate statement? Were you guys made fully aware and everything was fully disclosed on what could possibly happen when you're getting out there? Yes, the release we signed made it clear that they were in charge and we weren't, and that's the way it was. And you went into this with your eyes wide open. So that's what we got. I mean, it was a bit of a surprise. The elimination round was a bit of a surprise, because we didn't realize they were going to do that, but that was part of the agreement, that they were in charge and we weren't. So, it's okay, let's go for it. All right, so when you get in there, and are you allowed to say what you're cooking tomorrow or no? It's in TV Guide, Turducken. It's they have a fancy title. Foul Play is the title of the episode, and we're cooking turducken. So that's in TV Guide, so I'm not, disclosing anything that's out of the ordinary there. All right, so turducken, so definitely not what you would see at a normal competition, but I guess over the last many weeks we have defined the fact that BBQ Pitmasters is not a competition barbecue show anymore. It is a game show that has sometimes what you would find at a barbecue competition, but turducken is something you would not normally have to deal with. You have a lot of experience with turducken, Tom? Never have eaten turducken, let alone cooked turducken, so... All right, so when they tell you what the main meat of the day is going to be, do you shit your pants a little bit, or are you like, hey, what a great challenge? No, you know what? I was so excited because the response of the guys I was cooking with was high fives, because they do turducken as a fun thing to do when they're getting together at the holidays. Dudes, those are the right guys, man. So doing the high fives, Can you explain to the people out in Centralightville that have no idea or have never heard what a turducken is? Can you tell us what that is? You've got a turkey with a chicken inside it and a duck inside of that. So, and dressing, and it's just it makes it for an interesting presentation when you slice it and put it on a plate and you see the different rings of meat, the different types of meat. It probably won't grace our holiday table this year, but it was interesting experience, let me tell you, brother. It sounds like it could be the potentially worst salmonella poisoning type thing. I mean, having that many different poultry stuffed inside of one another, you have to know exactly what you're doing to make sure that everything is kind of that right temperature to get everything out of the danger zone, and one isn't hiding inside of another, causing potential throw up and explosive diarrhea. Well, yes. Those thermometers were definitely used at that day. You're right. There was that was an issue, and we had to be careful of that, of course. Is it easy to overcook at that point then? Well, you've got that greasy duck in there, and that the chicken. That was the white meat on the chicken. There was some concern that would be would turn out dry, trying to get the whole thing done, and the chicken's going too fast and you got this greasy duck in the middle, and it actually turned out, I don't want to go too far with this, but I was really surprised at how good it came out. I was going to say, you don't have to tell us how well it did, obviously, in the show, but how did it taste? I would imagine you were able to sample what it tasted like. Well, sure. It tasted like each element. The chicken, obviously, was heavily influenced by its two neighbors, but it tasted like you would expect. I mean, it didn't taste like rattlesnake. So anyway, and are they subsequently turkey is the biggest, and then it's a little bit smaller duck, and then it's a little bit smaller chicken, or
No, the
vice
other way
versa?
around. Turkey, then a chicken, then a duck.
Okay, and so it's the biggest turkey, and then a smaller than the turkey chicken, and then a smaller than the chicken duck.
Correct. It's by size.
Oh, my.
And these are all boneless, so they just sort of loop them together, and it's quite and they're dressing in there also as part of your presentation, and then you make a gravy, and anyway, it's an interesting dish.
Right. So definitely trying to tie in maybe a little bit to the holidays that are coming up there for the turducken.
And there is some barbecue pitmaster talk and some turducken talk. Is barbecue TV going to resurge? Is there going to be an uptick in turducken? Can't even say that. Hey, would you like to hear the rest of this show? There is a lot more information in it. Head over to the bbqcentralshow.com. Check out the Best Moments archives. There will be a link in those show notes to get you right to this complete show. Until next time on the Best Moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less, I'm your host, John Solberg. I look forward to talking to you again soon.